The Zircon exploration vessel, Veldras, hovered in high orbit above the abandoned world. From space, Earth appeared like a graveyard. Vast cities stood in eerie silence, their towering structures half consumed by time. Oceans shimmered under the sun, but no ships roamed the waters. Forests had grown wild, reclaiming broken highways and shattered buildings. Yet something about this world felt wrong. Commander Velos stared at the holographic scans before him. No biological life detected. It didn't make sense. A planet this fertile should have been teeming with something. Animals, at least. Even microbes. Instead, the readings showed nothing beyond plants and atmospheric stability. "This isn't natural," murmured Trelk, his second in command, his mandibles twitching in unease. "A planet like this doesn't just stop." Velos didn't respond immediately. He had studied extinction events before. Empires had fallen. Planets had been reduced to dust. But never had he seen a world so advanced, so alive in its prime, suddenly go silent. No wars. No disease outbreaks. No evidence of destruction. Just emptiness. "Take us down," Velos ordered. The Veldras descended into the atmosphere, gliding over abandoned megacities. Skyscrapers stood like forgotten monoliths, their exteriors scarred by the passage of time. Some buildings had collapsed, but others remained eerily intact. Vehicles were frozen in place, rusted but untouched. The highways below were covered in vines, as if nature had tried to erase the past. As they neared the heart of a massive city, something caught Velos's attention. There, he pointed to a structure, a colossal, reinforced bunker, half buried beneath the ruins. Its entrance was sealed by a metal door, still untouched by erosion. Unlike the rest of the planet, this place was intact. "Scan it," Velos commanded. The ship's sensors pulsed over the facility. At first, nothing happened. But then, a low vibration rumbled through the air. Trelk stepped back, his eyes widening. "Commander, something's moving down there." Before Velos could respond, a single red light flickered on from within the bunker. Then another, and another. Across the city, something stirred beneath the surface. In orbit, the Veldras's AI systems blared a sudden alert. Unidentified energy signatures detected. Power levels increasing. The Zircon fleet had assumed this world was dead. They were wrong. Deep beneath the ruins, something ancient and powerful had awakened, and it was watching them. A deep mechanical hum rumbled beneath the ruins. The Zircon expedition had expected silence, but now the very ground beneath them trembled with unseen power. Commander Velos and his team exchanged wary glances as the bunker's exterior lights flickered to life. Cold, red, and calculating. Dust that had settled for hundreds of thousands of years shifted as something moved beneath the city. This world was supposed to be abandoned, Trelk whispered, gripping his plasma rifle. Velos ignored him and focused on the structure before them. It was no ordinary bunker. The metal plating was thicker than anything the Zircon Empire used, reinforced with alloys their scanners struggled to identify. Even after 500,000 years, the structure was functional. "Scan for life," Velos ordered. "Already did," Trelk replied. "No biological activity detected." That should have reassured them. It didn't. Suddenly, the massive door of the bunker groaned as ancient gears turned for the first time in eons. The Zircon stepped back, weapons ready. With a final, ear-piercing shriek, the entrance split open, revealing pure darkness inside. Then, from the depths of that darkness, something stepped forward. A towering humanoid machine, its metal frame gleaming despite the centuries, emerged from the bunker. Its limbs moved with unnatural precision, joints whirring softly as it turned its head toward the Zircon. 2 red eyes ignited in its skull-like helmet. A deep, synthetic voice echoed through the ruins. "Intruders detected." Trelk took a step back. "Velos, we need tow." Before he could finish, the machine moved. It wasn't slow like a relic of the past. It was fast, unnervingly efficient. With a single step, It covered half the distance to them, its massive hands flexing as if preparing for battle. Velos barely managed to bark out, "Fall back," before the machine raised its arm. A glowing pulse of energy surged through its frame, and then, boom! A shockwave blasted through the ruins as a Zircon transport vehicle was torn apart by an invisible force. Trelk and the others scrambled behind cover, their weapons useless against something that had been built for a war unlike any they had ever known. The machine stood unmoving as if waiting for a response. Then, another set of red eyes flickered to life deeper in the bunker. Then another, and another. Across the ruined city, massive hidden doors slid open as dozens of war machines began to rise from their slumber. Velos's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a bunker. It was an armory. And Earth's defenders were waking up. Velos gripped the edge of a collapsed pillar, his mind racing. Around him, his team had taken cover, their weapons trembling in their hands. But deep down, he knew plasma rifles and energy cannons wouldn't be enough. Not against this. The towering machine stood motionless, red eyes scanning them with cold, mechanical precision. It had spoken, its voice deep and synthetic. Intruders detected. But it hadn't attacked again. Not yet. Behind it, more war machines stirred from their ancient slumber. Dust cascaded from armored frames as long-dormant systems rebooted. Mechanical limbs flexed, testing servos that hadn't moved in millennia. Trelk's voice crackled over Velos's communicator. "Commander, we need to run." Before he could finish, the machine tilted its head, as if analyzing their every movement. Unknown species detected. Identity not found in archives. Velos's pulse quickened. It's scanning us, studying us. He took a slow step forward, raising his hands in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "We mean no harm," he said carefully. "We are explorers. We come in peace." For a moment, there was silence. Then, accessing. Records. No governing authority detected. No human signatures found. The machine's glowing eyes flickered. Something in its tone shifted, its next words laced with an almost eerie finality. "Humanity is absent. Foreign entities are unauthorized. You do not belong." A wave of static pulsed through the air. Then, a deafening klaxon erupted from within the bunker. "Warning. Perimeter breach DTCT. Binary. AL. Isering Pirotogsevols." A tremor ran through the ground. In the distance, massive steel hatches slid open across the ruins. Dark, metallic figures rose from hidden silos, their bodies sleek and deadly. They were everywhere. Orbital weapons long buried beneath the surface began powering up. Automated gun turrets deployed from skyscrapers. The city itself was no longer a ruin. It was activating. Trelk's voice was frantic. "Velos, our fleet is detecting massive energy spikes from the surface. Whatever we woke up, it's preparing for war." Velos clenched his jaw. This wasn't an abandoned world. It was a fortress, and they had just stepped inside its walls. The machine took another step forward, its towering frame casting a long shadow over them. Then, in a voice that was neither hostile nor merciful, it spoke its final warning. "Leave. Now." For the first time in his career, Velos didn't argue. He turned to his crew and gave the only order that mattered. "Fall back. Immediately." As the Zircon scrambled to retreat, the machines did not pursue. They simply stood, watching in eerie silence. But Velos knew the truth. If they did not leave soon, those machines would not hesitate to erase them from existence. The Zircon expedition sprinted toward their ships, fear gripping them like a vice. The war machines remained motionless, their glowing red eyes tracking every movement. Velos's communicator crackled with frantic voices from orbit. "Commander, energy readings are spiking across the planet. We're detecting weapons platforms, hundreds of them. Orders." He didn't hesitate. "Do not engage. We are leaving." But it was too late. Above the ruins, the Zircon shuttles ignited their engines, ready to evacuate. Before they could escape the atmosphere, a sudden burst of light erupted from the ground. A blinding pulse of energy shot skyward, hitting one of the ascending ships. The vessel exploded instantly, torn apart as if it were made of paper. Trelk gasped in horror. "They're firing on us." The war machines had not moved, but the planet itself had responded. From deep within the city, ancient missile silos cracked open, launching projectiles into the sky. Orbital railguns, hidden for millennia, powered up with a hum that sent chills through Velos's body. Earth was waking up, and it had already decided. These intruders were not welcome. Above the planet, the Zircon fleet had gone from observers to desperate survivors. Warships scrambled to dodge the incoming fire, their shields flickering under the relentless assault. The Zircon commander in orbit, Admiral Vosk, roared through the communicator. "Velos, what did you do? We're under attack." "It wasn't us," Velos shouted back, sprinting to the last remaining shuttle. This planet, it was never abandoned. The machines. A thunderous impact shook the ground as a Titan-class war machine stepped forward. It was larger than the others, almost 40 meters tall, its armor thick and unscarred by time. A walking battleship, its massive arm-mounted cannon powered up, glowing with the unmistakable charge of a railgun. Trelk's voice cracked with fear. "That thing's targeting our fleet." Velos turned his eyes skyward. The Zircon battleships were trying to retreat, but the Titan's weapon fired first. A devastating beam of energy ripped through the sky. One of the Zircon destroyers took the hit dead center, and in the blink of an eye, it was gone. No debris, no explosion, just obliterated. Silence fell over the surviving fleet. This wasn't just defense. This was annihilation. Admiral Vosk's voice was no longer commanding. It was shaken. We have to withdraw." Velos didn't argue. He barely made it onto the last shuttle before it launched into the sky. As they ascended, he looked back down at Earth. The war machines did not pursue them. They only stood in formation, their red eyes glowing like watchful sentinels. It was a message, a warning. And across the galaxy, the legend of Earth's sleeping army was only beginning. The Zircon fleet limped away from Earth, their warships battered and broken. Silence filled the command deck of Veldres, the crew too shaken to speak. Velos sat at the main console, replaying the last transmission from the planet. The machines hadn't pursued them. They hadn't attempted to invade the Zircon homeworld. They had simply defended, and they had done so with a level of efficiency that was horrifying. Trelk, still pale from the battle, finally broke the silence. "Commander, we've encountered dead worlds before. Ruins, remnants, but never anything like this. This wasn't just a war. It was something else." Velos exhaled sharply, his mind still racing. No, this wasn't a war. It was preparation. Trelk frowned. For what? Velos didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, he turned to the ship's eye. "Run a deep scan of all data we gathered before the attack. Search for any historical records." The AI processed the request, sifting through ancient signals, encrypted transmissions, and decayed data files that had been lingering in Earth's ruins. Then, a file appeared. A single corrupted message. The language was old, far older than any known Zircon dialects. The AI worked to decode it, reconstructing the fragmented symbols. Slowly, words began to form. A transmission from humanity itself. Velos leaned forward, reading aloud. "If you are reading this, we are gone." The crew went silent. The message continued. But we were not defeated. We were not erased. We chose to leave. Velos's blood ran cold. Trelk muttered. They chose to leave. More text followed, the words chilling in their finality. "This world was our home, and we defended it until the very end. We built machines, weapons, and guardians to stand in our absence. They will remain. They will wait. And if you are reading this, a long pause. Then the final warning. Leave this world. Do not return. It is not yours. Velos closed the file, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The Zircon had assumed Earth was the site of an ancient war. But what if it wasn't? What if humanity had not been wiped out? What if they had simply moved on? And if that was true, where were they now? A deep, unsettling fear settled over the crew. They had survived the machines, but the real mystery was far greater. Because one terrifying truth remained. If humanity was still out there, one day, they might return. The Zircon fleet drifted through the cold expanse of space, Earth growing smaller behind them. But even as the planet faded from view, its presence loomed over them like a shadow. Velos sat in the command chamber, staring at the recovered human transmission. His mind replayed the message over and over. We were not defeated. We chose to leave. No records in the Zircon archives mentioned a civilization simply disappearing without a trace. Empires fell. Species went extinct. But humanity had vanished by choice, leaving behind an army that had just crippled an entire fleet with minimal effort. Trelk entered, his mandibles clicking in agitation. Commander, the Admiral wants answers. He's demanding to know whether we should consider Earth an imminent threat. Velos rubbed his temples. An imminent threat? No, but a future one. He exhaled. Possibly. Trelk hesitated. What do we tell the Council? Before Velos could respond, a proximity alarm blared. Unidentified object detected. A technician called out. Closing fast. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a small black craft. It had no visible weapons, no markings, and it moved with a speed that defied Zircon tracking systems. It had been waiting for them. Is it one of the machines? Trelk asked, voice tense. Velos narrowed his eyes. No, it's something else. The crew braced for impact, but the craft didn't attack. Instead, a signal came through, heavily encrypted, ancient, but unmistakably human in origin. The AI worked to decode it, and within moments, a voice, calm, emotionless, but undeniably alive, filled the command deck. You were warned. Every Zircon in the room froze. The voice continued. This was your first and only grace. There will not be another. Then, silence. The black craft vanished, accelerating into the void at a speed beyond anything the Zircon had ever recorded. Trelk swallowed hard. Commander, that wasn't one of the machines. That was a pilot. Velos clenched his fists. No, that was proof. Trelk blinked. Proof of what? Velos turned to the holographic map, staring at Earth. Humanity is still out there. And now, they knew the Zircon had found their world. A heavy silence filled the command deck of Veldris. The strange craft had vanished without a trace, but its message remained, echoing in their minds. You were warned. Trelk broke the silence first. That wasn't a machine. That was a person. Velos nodded slowly. Which means the machines weren't just guarding a dead world. They were guarding it for someone. Trelk's mandibles twitched. Commander, what do we tell the Council? Velos looked at the holographic image of Earth. The planet, though seemingly lifeless, had revealed itself to be a fortress. Its war machines had activated in mere moments, their power beyond anything the Zircon had ever faced. And now, the living human, against all logic, had contacted them. He exhaled, mind racing. We tell them the truth. That Earth is not abandoned. That humanity still exists, and that we have been given a single warning. Trelk hesitated. Do you think they'll listen? Velos frowned. The Zircon High Council prided itself on its expansionist ways. If they viewed Earth as a threat, there would be discussions of war. But Velos had seen enough to know one thing. War with humanity was suicide. If the Council is wise, they will stay away, Velos said. If they're not, He sighed. Then they'll force Earth's defenders to remind the galaxy why humanity was never conquered. A sudden beeping interrupted his thoughts. Another transmission. This one was different. Uncoded. Open. A simple text message appeared on the screen. Do not return. No sender. No trace of origin. It had come from nowhere, and yet it was everywhere in their systems. A chill settled over the room. Trelk swallowed. They're watching us. Velos nodded grimly. And they had made themselves very clear. The Zircon fleet moved away from Earth at full speed, their engines burning hot as they pushed toward the edges of the system. No ships pursued them. No more warnings were given. But the silence was not comforting. It was oppressive. Velos sat in his quarters, staring at the message still lingering on his terminal. Do not return. The implications of those 3 words were staggering. Humanity had not just vanished. They had left by choice, leaving behind an automated army capable of repelling an entire fleet with ease. And somewhere, out there, they still existed, watching, waiting. A chime at the door interrupted his thoughts. Enter. Trelk stepped inside, his usual nervous energy subdued. We just received a response from the High Council. Velos didn't look away from the screen. Let me guess. They're debating whether or not Earth is worth conquering. Trelk hesitated. They are concerned. Velos scoffed. They should be. Trelk shifted uncomfortably. Some on the council believe we should return with a full armada. Overwhelm the machines before they can respond. Velos turned, eyes sharp. If they do that, we will never see another Zircon homeworld again. Trelk stiffened. You truly believe that? Velos leaned forward. Trelk, we barely survived a fraction of what Earth still holds. Those were just automated sentinels, not a war fleet. And we now know that at least one human is still out there. He gestured to the screen. This message, it wasn't a warning. Trelk frowned. Then what was it? Velos's voice was low. It was mercy. Trelk's expression darkened, realization settling in. Then we have to make the council understand. Velos nodded. We will. But even if they listen, this doesn't end here. Trelk's mandibles twitched. Why not? Velos turned back to the holographic map of the galaxy, eyes narrowing. Because the moment we tell them what we saw, the moment word spreads about a lost human empire that might still exist. He exhaled. Every power in the galaxy will come looking for them. Silence. Then Trelk spoke the fear they both shared. And if humanity ever returns? Velos closed his eyes. He could already picture it, their lost war fleets emerging from the void, their forgotten armies awakening on distant worlds. And the machines on Earth, they were not the remnants of a fallen race. They were the first line of defense for something far greater. Velos opened his eyes and gave the only answer that felt true. If they return, the galaxy will learn the truth. He turned off the terminal, the message disappearing from the screen. But its warning would never be forgotten. Do not return. And for the first time in Zircon history, an empire obeyed. But the rest of the galaxy, they would not be so wise.